What is going on, guys? Let me just check the live stream here. We got a couple people on here. Let me see how it sounds. Sounds way better, man. I didn't realize that if you get off the Wi-Fi and you hook it up old school with an actual Ethernet cable to the Mac Mini, it makes a huge difference, man. They made us post a couple times here. We are live, guys. Come on over. Let's see. Let's share this to a couple people here. We got 4 people watching. I can't mess up now, right? Let's see. Let's share this to a couple people. Share it to my wife because she's my biggest supporter, right? Alrighty, man. 3 people on, 4 people on, 5 people, 10 dislikes. No, I'm just kidding. So what do y'all think about the Stoic live chambers, man? I finally got the room the way I wanted to. Pretty excited about it. But yeah, man, today's topic, I'm just gonna be talking a little bit. I'm gonna try to do more of these live streams just because it's a little bit easier. There she is, my wife. Ruben, how does it look, bro? What do you think? I know Ruben likes this. Ruben likes this right here. Check out the camera, man. Boom, son. Old school. You know what's even better, bro? Look at that backside. You know it's legit. 1996 Japanese auto. Little Charizard action. And I actually picked this up also. And when it came into the house, the wife was like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Bro, freaking Piccolo, man." I'm a nerd at heart, man. I grew up on this stuff, so I was actually finally able to get it. You know, when you get older, you try to buy things that you couldn't have when you were a kid. We got 8 people on. That's what I'm talking about, man. How do I sound? Audio sounds good. I like the way the setup is. I have the camera off to the left so I can have my screen right here in front of me. And what's up, Fernie? That sounds good, bro. Man, it's a lot easier to go live, so you don't have to edit stuff, and you can just chat with people. What is going on, papas? For those of y'all that do not know, Mr. Fern is the one that showed me how to fish, man. I grew up fishing these irrigation canals down here with my little brother and with a lot of buddies of mine. We used to fish South Texas bass using chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, little worms. But I'd say about 4 or 5 years ago, right, bro? That's when I started getting into the whole saltwater game, and I did not know how to fish for saltwater or for these saltwater fish down here in the valley. And Fern took his time. We used to go out all the time on his Mayak a little longer than that, right? Probably like, I don't know, 7, 8 years probably. The channel's been going on for about 4 or 5 years. Back in the scooter days, that's right. Fern had a little scooter, man, and we used to go out and kill them. We actually had a lot of crazy stories where we used to actually go out with a boat, and we had some near death experiences out in Holly Beach. Good times, bro. But anyway, he's the one that showed me how to fish for this for saltwater, man. He showed me all these tips and tricks. And I always said, I'm not going to give away all of his secrets, but for those that are just starting off, I'm going to try to help you guys out because I'm getting old. I got gray in the beard, my back hurts and all that. So I'm trying to help out the younger generation that's out there. And you'd be surprised, man. Ask Arlene in the chat. I don't know if she's still in here. She's outside working out. But I go out a lot and people actually say, "Hey, bro," this is what they say. "Hey, bro, are you stoic?" And then they say, "Thanks for the tips." And then the wife's like, "Damn, people actually follow you, huh? 11 people are watching. That's what's up, man." Yeah, so whenever I see people out in public, if you see me out there, some people say I look scary because of my beard, I guess, or my eyes with my eyebrows. But come up and say hi, man. We're going to try to help those that are just starting off. And today's episode or today's tips and tricks that I'm going to give to you guys are for big South Texas speckled trout, man. Because in my opinion, you can go out and catch a redfish. That's cool. You can catch a 30-inch redfish. That's cool and all. But man, when you catch a big mama trout, anything over 25 inches, in my opinion, is a gator trout, man. Anything over 25 inches is a big, big speckled trout, a thick girl, if you will. And over the years, I found a few methods and tricks, I guess you could say, of how I like to target the speckled trout, or how I'm gonna show you guys or tell you guys what I normally like to do to set my lure apart, man. You got to remember, down here in South Texas, there's all these tournaments. There's a lot of people that fish on the weekends after they've worked the entire week. So these fish down here in Port Mansfield, Arroyo City, and South Padre Island, they are extremely, extremely pressured. So, Fern, if you're still watching, if you can agree with these tips, I would appreciate it. Ruben, I don't know if you pulled off, but that Charizard was for you, bro. Anyway, so if you go to ChatGPT, man, I like using grok.com because I'm a big unfortunately I'm an Elon supporter, right? Because that dude is a genius. Yeah, he's a little off sometimes, but I think he's a very, very smart man. So grok.com is a little bit over a little bit more powerful than ChatGPT, but you can go to ChatGPT also if you want, grok.com. But if you literally type in, you saw that Charizard, bro? Oh yeah, there he is. Now we got some chat. I think it's easier, man, doing these live streams so we can all just talk. Dude, Ruben's a dad now, bro. Happy Father's Day, brother. Okay, cool. So speckled trout, man. Couple of tips and tricks for you guys. If you go out there and you type in big South Texas speckled trout fishing tips, the number one tip I'm going to give you guys here on ChatGPT or on Grok, it says mimic bait fish or shrimp. Remember, these speckled trout, they've seen the bigger size lures. I'm not going to name drop any lures because I'm not talking bad about them. I'm just saying the normal lure is about 4 inches to 4.5 inches. And self-promotion, right? But if you go out and get yourself the Bay Villain right here, tell me that does not look like a little shrimp, man. You can take off that white tail and look at that bad boy right there. Look at that bad boy right there, man. This is literally 3.75 inches. It's a smaller profile. If you want, if the fish are being hard biters, they're being a little bit finicky, you can take off the ribs and you got yourself a little dart, man, a little mini dart, and you can use this on a popping court. Downsize your lure. This one is perfect for clear water because it imitates a shrimp. The color, when it's popping through that water, it's going to imitate a dying shrimp, and everything is going to eat a shrimp, including these big South Texas speckled trout. I've seen people throw 4-inch lures at them, and then you downsize to a 3.5-inch lure. You change the color, you change the presentation, you change the cadence, and that speckled trout is going to hit your lure. Always try to set yourself apart, man. Always try to set yourself apart from the common angler that is out there. So the bait, the artificial lure that you're going to be using, go out, get yourself the Bay Villain. I got 6 colors to choose from. This one right here is a little hidden gem of mine for clear water. So you got your lure size. The second tip right here that it talks about is using the right tackle. Deep water, slow. Fern says deeper water, slow lure movement, and be patient. Yep. Fishing with subs coming soon. Bro, I need to do that. 956 boy. I like that. I like that name, dude. Let's do it. I'm going to be doing a big giveaway once we hit 15,000 subscribers, man. We're up right around 11,000 subscribers. Hopefully these live streams can help get myself to be a little bit more so I can go live more often, a little bit more reliable on my uploads. What tide do you prefer? Bro, that really just depends on what you're doing. If you're wade fishing or if you're on a boat and you're drift fishing, that really just depends on what you're doing. And remember, if you're going to be wade fishing, you got to be careful with that boat because you don't want to be out there on a low tide and you're going to be stuck on the boat. What Captain Dan likes to do, and I know Fern likes to do it as well, man. He likes to fish the tide movements, not necessarily a high tide or low tide, but that specific area, that specific time in the day where that water is going in or that water is going out. When there's current, when there's a lot of movement in the water, that's the time that people like to fish. And that's the time I like to fish as well. But you got to remember, man, I work a lot. Sometimes I work, I don't know, 160 hours of overtime a month. So do I really prefer what tide movement or when the tide is in or the low tide or a high tide? I just like to go out and fish whenever I'm free, man. If I'm off on a Saturday between 6 and 10, I'm going to fish between 6 and 10. I'm going to try to make it happen. So that's why I go back to the lure size. Try to set yourself apart from the other anglers that are out there. Use the right lure, use the right tackle. Tackle, what do I mean by that? I like using 10-pound Power Pro. Mr. Fern's the one that got me on using the lighter diameter line. The lighter line. Why? If you're walking in a line with your homie and you're walking like this, or even on a boat and you're casting your lure and you're using a little bit heavier line than your homie is, your buddy is, your lure is not going to get that same casting distance as it would if you're using a lighter diameter line. I have a lot of people that always ask me, bro, 10-pound line, are you serious? I've never had a break off. I've never had any issues with 10-pound Power Pro. That is because I use a 30-pound fluorocarbon leader, and that leader is about 12 to 18 inches. So it's about a 10-inch line, and you have 12 to 18 inches, and then you have your lure on the end. That fluorocarbon, that Berkeley Vanish leader line is really going to let that lure vanish. It's gonna make it look a little bit more natural in the water. That big speckled trout that's there, that's had 10 lures pass in front of its face, it's not going to see your braid. It's not going to see your yellow braid. It's not going to see your green braid. It's going to see Berkeley Vanish. So it's going to be clear. It's not even going to see your leader. And all it's going to see is your lure dancing in the water, changing up your cadence. Find out what that speckled trout wants. Like Fern says, if it's a deeper water, if it's cold, really, really take your time. One time I was fishing with Jeremy Hinojosa, and I was walking right next to him. I was using the same color. I was using the same lure as he was, and I wasn't getting any bites. And me, I always like to look around. I always like to learn. It doesn't matter who I'm fishing with. I always keep my eyes on a swivel so I don't step on stingrays or I don't step on any sharks. But I like to keep my eyes open, keep looking around, and I'm always asking questions. So I saw Jeremy Hinojosa slaying those fish. We're wade fishing, and it was cold. And I was like, dude, what am I doing wrong? He looked at me. He's able to slow it down an extra half second. So when I casted that 10-pound line, I casted that fluorocarbon leader, and I casted the Bay Villain 3.5-inch lure. I waited a second, and then I ended up hooking up. So when that lure hit that bottom, I waited 3 seconds. That means that lure is going to hit the bottom of the water column. It's going to go all the way down, popped, waited an extra second, and then that lure dropped into the strike zone, and I got bit, man. So using the right tackle, fishing rod right here. It says right here, using the right fishing rod, 7-foot medium light is the way to go, man. Remember, if you're going to be throwing artificial lures the entire day, you want something that's going to have more flex. Yeah, you can use an ultralight rod, but down here in South Texas, man, you got to be careful with throwing an ultralight rod, man, because these speckled trout and these redfish, they're pretty aggressive, man, and they might end up breaking your rod. So just be careful. I like using a medium light rod because it gives me that extra backbone, man. Any flounder fishing soon? Bro, I'm actually not even that big of a flounder fisherman. I know I have a couple of buddies. Jacob Garza, Captain Tails Up Charters, is a big flounder guy. I know Fern targets these flounders. For me, that's actually going to be another flounder fishing video coming soon. Yeah, so flounder fishing is going to be another video. I'm actually going to ask a few more questions before I try to give you guys tips. I have caught flounders, but to tell you the truth, it's actually been on accident. But I do have a couple of tips that I can share with you. They're kind of similar to fishing for speckled trout and fishing for big redfish. We've been going on for 14 minutes, man. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so mimic bait fish, we already got that. Mimic the artificial lures, use the right lures, we got that. We got using the right tackle, we got a medium light rod, 20, and the fishing reel. I like using a 2500 fishing reel because it's a little bit easier, it's a little bit lighter to use as opposed to using a 5,000 or a 6,000. Those rods are good, but that's more for bait fishing. That's more for alligator gar. I wouldn't recommend using that for inshore fishing, for speckled trout fishing specifically. Excuse me. So, fish early for best speckled trout, target bait-rich areas, be patient. So, that's a big topic that I was actually bringing up to one of my buddies the other day. If you're going to be wade fishing, man, or drift fishing, and you see a group of bait working, or you see birds working or you see some type of activity in the water and you're weight fishing, do not cast that lure straight on top of that herd of fish or straight on top of that area, man. Remember, like I said, heavily pressure. So you want to cast that lure kind of to the side, kind of to the left, or kind of past the area that you see where the fish are at. Then you want to pop, let that lure dance and bring it into that strike zone. That way you do not spook the fish. So that's 3 tips, man. The right tackle, right artificial lures, and when you're wade fishing, if you see a group of bait fish, even if you're drift fishing, try not to cast that lure right over top of them. You don't want to scare them, man. Does Berkeley Vanish hold up just as good as the more expensive ones? Bro, I've been using, I think if Fern's still in the chat, Berkeley Vanish, I've been using that thing for 5 years. Get the 30 pound though, because the 20 pound to 10 pound, they even have 10 pound. Do not get that one. Get the 30 pound Berkeley Vanish, and it's extremely durable. I've never had a break off. 30 pound Berkeley Vanish leader is the way to go. Especially down here in South Texas, man. Remember, you have oyster reefs. You have a bunch of stuff that's in the water. You have sometimes you have like people that drop, glass, unfortunately, or the litter on the water. If you're using a lighter, if you're using like a 10 pound or a 20 pound leader line, it's gonna break off, man. And especially these speckled trout, they have the sharp gills, and the redfish that have the sharp teeth or the sharp nubs on their little teeth, man. I always say teeth. They don't have literal teeth, right? But you just got to be careful, and you don't want to get broken off. So Berkeley Vanish is super affordable. It's only like $7 or $8 at Walmart. Walmart's the place that I like to go, man, because sometimes you go to Academy and the places are like overpriced, and sometimes you can even get them at Walmart online, and they're super cheap compared to like other places. Walmart's like the unsung spot where I get my fishing stuff. Let's see. All right. I think it looks pretty good, man. The audio. All right. So let's see. Got 7 people online, man. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. We are going on 17 minutes right now. 17 minutes. And I'm going to give you guys one extra tip for those that stuck around to the very end. Let's see how it sounds. Okay, the final tip, man, that I'm going to give you guys for speckled trout fishing is right here, man. So speckled trout fishing is extremely hard, and I see a lot of people that get frustrated. I see a lot of people that give up. I see a lot of people that are like, bro, I'm just catching nothing but small fish. I'm just catching small speckled trout. I'm just catching pan-sized trout, like one of my buddies says. So the extra tip that I'm going to give you guys is just stay resilient, man. Stay with it. Keep casting. Keep changing up your cadence until you find out what those speckled trout want. If it's cold water, slow down your retrieve. Hot water, summer days, speed it up a little bit. And remember, the color of the lure also makes a big difference. If you're using this color, just remember clear water. Try to use something a little bit more natural. Clear water, light colors. Dark water, use something a little bit darker. If it's going to be like murky water, if it's going to be green water, like a hurricane just passed or something just passed, like a good amount of rain, try to use something a little bit darker. I have the purple goblin online on my website, stoicoutdoors.com. And that purple body with that chartreuse tail and the blue flakes, that really stands out, man. The darker the color is, the darker the profile is, the darker it's going to look in the water. The darker meaning it's going to stand out. Because if you're using the wrong color, it's going to make a big difference. And if you give up and you're using the wrong cadence, you're using the wrong lure, and you're using the wrong tackle, it's not going to set you up for success, man. So all these tips and tricks right here are going to be what I like to use or what I like to do to try to find out what the fish want that specific day and how I'm going to be targeting them the rest of the day. What do you think about wading super soft ground? Bro, I actually fished the north side of Port Mansfield, if you know what I'm talking about. And there's a little area there that's super soft. And yes, I do catch fish there. But remember, man, if you're wade fishing, your feet are going to be stuck and you're going to be having a hard time walking. I would say like 90% of the fish that I caught, the bigger trout, have all been on compact ground or easier walkable area as opposed to something that's a little bit softer. So the spot that you're fishing, yeah, it makes a difference between the soft ground, and it makes a difference between if you're going to be walking, if your legs are going to be hurting the entire day. But I really just try to focus on an area that the guide's taking me on, or a spot that I normally like to use, or normal that I have normally fished, like the north side of Port Mansfield. And I just like to fish certain transition areas. I like to fish like, okay, I see the water change right here. Okay, I know it goes from 2 feet to 3 feet. Okay, I know this spot right here is soft. Let me walk to the right of it and cast into it, as opposed to walking right over it, and you're going to be extremely, extremely tired, man. So if you have any more questions, drop them down below. We got 6 people still on. We are at the 20-minute mark. And this is the second live stream of the channel. Pretty excited by doing these. I can try to go live at least once a week for you guys. I do have a video posting Thursday at 7 p.m. Thursday at 7 p.m. when I went fishing with my little brother, and we ended up fishing for alligator gar down in the Rio Hondo area. Alligator gar, man, it's extremely, extremely tough, guys. I've caught in a few in my life, but I have not cracked the 5-foot club, or not even the 4-foot club, on an alligator gar. The biggest one that I caught was like 3.5 to 3.75 feet. Nothing crazy. It was years ago. So I'm trying to make it a 2025 goal is to catch a 5-foot alligator gar. I know I have a bunch of people on the YouTube that actually target these South Texas alligator gars. So if you have any tips, I'm going to be doing a video at 7 on Thursday, and it's a fishing trip that I went out to Rio Hondo. So if you have any tips, you can go over to that video and comment there down below. So we're at the 22-minute mark, man. I appreciate you guys watching this video. Thank you for watching all the way through. As always, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next time. Remember, be resilient on the water and off. Peace.